Gray and I'm the lead clinical psychologist at the British CBT Counselling Service. And in this video, I'm going to share with you a 5-step program to deal with anger. Okay, so anger can be a pretty unpleasant emotion, both to experience and to be on the receiving end of. It can damage relationships, reputations. It can leave everyone involved feeling quite anxious, quite depressed, and more angry. However, anger serves a really important function. It's vital to our survival because it alerts us to mistreatment. So our goal can't be to rid ourselves completely of anger. Instead, what we have to do is learn to understand why we're feeling angry, and then, using that information, learn to better control our feelings and express them better and get our needs met. Okay, so 5 steps. The first step is to remove yourself from the source of your anger. This is easier said than done, but what you have to do is you have to learn to predict when you're going to lose your temper. So notice when your anger begins to rise. And the best way to do this is using the sort of physical sensations in your body. So looking out for a more rapid heartbeat, your heart is racing, your breathing changes, that becomes more rapid, you may start to feel quite hot, quite tingly. When we start to feel angry, we get a dump of adrenaline into our system, and that makes it very hard to think clearly and make good decisions. So if you remove yourself from the trigger of your anger, you will then calm down and you will be able to think more clearly and follow these steps. Okay, second step is to identify what you're thinking, because the way we feel is determined by how we think about things. So if you're feeling angry, you might identify a thought as, that person is not listening to me, they don't care about me, they don't respect me. Okay. The third step is to work out whether or not you're experiencing a pure version of anger or it's a cover for another emotion. So anger commonly is a cover for other emotions. It's our go-to when we feel things like anxiety and depression, principally because anger is easier in a sense to experience because we can direct it outside of ourselves onto somebody else or something else. Whereas when we feel anxious, you just have to sit and feel it. So you need to try and work that out. The best way of doing that is if you think pure anger is there to alert me to some sort of mistreatment. And by mistreatment, I mean that you're in emotional or physical danger. So if the thought that you identify suggests that, then we move on to step 4. Because if you're experiencing pure anger, your anger is there to protect you. So you need to respond appropriately, get some support, and get yourself safe. If, however, you think that your anger is a cover for another emotion, we move on to step 5. It's more likely than not that it's a cover for either anxiety or depression. And you can use your thoughts to identify which one of these it is. So if it's anxiety, your thoughts are likely to be kind of overestimating some kind of disaster, underestimating your ability to cope with it. So in the example I used in step 2, that's an anxious thought. They're not listening to me, they don't respect me, they don't care about me. This is quite a catastrophic thought. Okay. If it's a depression that the anger is covering, your thought is going to be maybe quite self-critical. There will be sort of thoughts about hopelessness regarding the future, helplessness to do anything about your situation. Okay. So once you've identified the emotion that underlies your anger, then you need to deal with that emotion. If you can deal with that emotion, you will stop losing your temper. You will generally feel much calmer and be better at expressing yourself in your interactions and therefore getting your needs met. So there's 2 ways to deal with that underlying emotion. You could try using some self-help resources, and I put a link to a couple of good books in the description for this video, or alternatively, you may seek out some professional help in the form of therapy. Probably ideally try first CBT, cognitive behavioural therapy, because the research has shown this is currently the best treatment that is available for anxiety and depression. Okay, so that's the end of this video. If it was helpful, please like, subscribe and share with your friends. I'll see you soon.